Data management shouldn't be a headache. It should be your fuel. Welcome to the Data Edge. I'm Erwin de Werd and I'm joined by 𝗨𝗏 to break down the complexities of data quality into concrete, actionable steps. We're moving beyond just another tool to show you how to build systems that your team can actually trust. If you're ready to turn your technical data into strategic power, you're in the right place. Okay, welcome 𝗨𝗏 on this week's episode.
Thank you.
And well, let's just continue the discussion we had prior to this podcast about what makes now working with AI in general, AI tools and technology successful or not, and what are the pitfalls, right?
Yeah.
That's maybe an interesting topic for today.
Yeah. Well, I saw a really interesting stat yesterday, while scrolling my favorite useless platform, Instagram. And what it said is by now Claude, so one of the, I would say the best LLM out there, has 280,000 skills freely available, but over 90% of them are useless. Maybe we can explain what a skill is first.
Yeah, okay, well, of course, this cloud introduced, I think it's not so long ago, like 2 months ago or so, 3 months maybe, that they started with these skills. And skills is basically similar to a standard operating procedure, an SOP. And what you do in a skill is you tell the LLM what they can do on a particular topic. So by example, if you want to write some content, you say exactly how to write, in what tone, what is your tone, and about the topic, and you give background information, and all these things go in a document. It's a format markdown, but it doesn't matter, and that is basically it. And you can create endless of these things. Now that's what you already say.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
by the way, my Instagram is also exploding because I clicked on a couple of these things, and now I receive every day many of them that everybody say, oh, I have this skill, you can download it, it's fantastic, it can do this and that and such and so. Yeah, so it's really full with this.
Maybe we follow the same people.
Can be, yeah. So there are a lot of skills, but it's also confusing then because I have same that I think, okay, but what should I use? What's the quality and
Yeah.
what works for me and what not?
Well, so what this 280,000 skills available and over 90% of them are useless triggered for me was this is just the same problem that we keep having with AI over and over again, which is people are not willing to do the work. They see something and it looks amazing and they're like, oh, this is going to solve all of my problems while I can lie on the beach.
Yeah,
And
so we are lazy. We are lazy
yeah.
creatures. But that's
The
true.
real, yeah, the good way to do it though, I mean, I'm an engineer, right? Good engineers are also lazy, but you have to be strategically lazy. So what does that mean is if there's like some repetitive task, instead of just becoming really good at it and just operating yourself on autopilot and doing that task over and over again, what the engineering strategic laziness way is you automate it, but you do automate it really, really well. And then you build in some quality checks. And this works for any type of industry, right? When I had to do financial analysis back in the day, this wasn't really something that I loved doing so much. I didn't do it for very long, but I automated most of that work. But then I did build in all these quality checks that would flag like, hey, are these numbers the same? Do the total sum up, have some kind of ballpark size checks so that after you do a review and you're not just submitting
Yeah,
something.
well, that also made me thinking because most people don't do that. And that's the pitfall, I think, in this AI. It's so easy, or it looks so easy, that you just ask something and then it gives you an answer. But it's also, we all know that if we are asked general things, we have general answers. So a couple of things happening here is then people say, okay, yeah, I can immediately see when AI do something because it's crap. But that is because it's not trained the right way. So to give you an example, I think it was 6 months ago that I come to the idea I wanted to create this agent that write really good LinkedIn posts. And I started, I think, okay, I can do this with a custom GPT, right, in ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But then I find out all the time this thing is not doing the right thing and it gives wrong interpretations and so on and so forth. So I started adding all kind of conditions and explain and examples. And then I run quickly into the limits of this custom GPT only for one LinkedIn message. So you really need to spend a lot of time and accuracy and details to get very good outputs. It's not just like, oh, a couple of sentences and the magic will happen, right? It's not like that.
It's the classic automation problem, because that's why usually you don't do it. It's like, oh, this task just takes me 5 minutes. I'll just do it myself, right? Because you don't want to sit down for 2 hours for a task that takes 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the point. So, but the other thing is, of course, when you ready to do it well, and like you say, you must do it well one time to really set it up, like what we discussed in the beginning, that it become an SOP. So when you work on this, really to make it good level, then you also receive something out of this.
Do you know what's actually one of the reasons that people don't do this? It's that it's really cheap. So when you have a new colleague onboarding, like, you're gonna pay them a lot of money. Also, they'll be there, so they'll be like in your face, right? So you know someone here is new and they need, some help, because like they can't guess how we do things in this company, and they can't guess how we want our LinkedIn post to be written and like what's our goals here. But now in comes the software. Yeah, like we pay, well, it's 20 euros a month for a subscription. So I mean, if it doesn't really like work perfectly, like, we accept it much more. We don't want to coach it.
Yeah, and what I also find out, I'm curious if you have the same experience, that if you work a lot with these tools, so sometimes you make an error how you type something, right? And then you experience that doesn't matter because it does
Yeah.
understand anyway. And if you're not careful, then you end up by keeping typing almost half sentences.
I do that, yeah.
You will never do this to a human. You will never do that. You will not stop talking strange to a human, but because you think, this is a robot and it will understand it anyway, so I keep it short.
No, that would be pretty rude. Imagine that we would do all of our
Exactly.
jobs internally. Yeah. Hey, do you have any cool examples of products that you've built to make your life easier?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things is that working on outreach, there is this strategy, and this is around for quite some time now, actually. It's called the Dream 100. And this is all about that for lead generation, you build relationship with other people that are already in contact with the clients that you want to have, with your audience that you want to have. And this is all about this. And I built a tool around that to help actually, because the point is it's a cool strategy, but it's a lot of work, right? So
Yeah.
that is typically an example that costs you an awful lot of work because you must do a lot of searches for all kind of people on YouTube that talk about your industry as an example. And when you connect to them and they start talking about your business, so you can understand what is the effect for that.
Yeah.
And it's same for events. What kind of events are there regarding your business, what you could attend, like a speaker or just an attendee, and so
Yeah.
on. So there are all these different elements, and you must find out, and then you must reach out, and all this stuff.
Yeah. So,
So I built a tool for that, and that is really helpful
yeah.
to actually make this more practical as a process.
So it's basically you tell the tool everything that you know about, okay, we're like specialized in this one area and we want to know who's talking about this, what are the industry events that we should visit, like webinars that will be interesting, podcasts we should listen to.
Exactly. Yeah. Influence. So it gives you influencers that you never heard of that sit on LinkedIn with a lot of following, for instance.
Yeah.
And I know an example from a guy, and his ultimate goal was to get in contact with Tony Robbins, and he
Yeah.
knew that if he could do so, then that would help his business. But he never could reach him, and he used his strategy over time. And
Yeah.
finally, he succeeded. And then this Tony Robbins mentioned him
Yeah.
in his podcast, or I don't know what it was, but he started talking about this guy. And that really gave this business an enormous boost, because then all of a sudden it was an opening to a very large audience.
Yeah.
And that's the whole idea, that you borrow an audience from somebody else, and that you do this consistently. But and that's good with AI. It is something that you must do all the time consistently. And it's like what you said just some while ago. It's kind of boring because it's like repetition, right? A lot of repetition in this work, and people don't like that. So that is, of course, AI can be helpful in that.
Yeah. Well, what I do believe is it's very important to show up authentically, right? And so I am very much against putting too much AI generated content out there. But what the real thing is, AI can be, and you've said this many times, like an amplifier. So create the content once, and then you don't have to go in your design tool, take a photo that you've uploaded before, put the captions on, all those steps. Those the AI can do perfectly, as long as the original thinking is original thinking and not ChatGPT, who came up with another boring cardboard box explanation.
Yeah, well, the things, I know some very good copywriters that do use this, but what they do and what they also recommend is they work with AI to give more or less suggestions. It's like a starting point. So it can help you by giving a first rough draft, right? But then you must make it your own by tweaking it, adding things, removing things. And even that for many people is too much. They just think, I go with it, I'm happy. But that's not, I completely agree with you that I'm not so fan, and I even wrote some post about it, that I don't like to use AI as the communication directly to people.
Yeah.
I think there must be original, must be authentic from people. And AI, but AI is very good in the backend to do the searches, to do the work, to organize things, to whatever, right? For this, perfect. Be careful with this front end that you talk to somebody from a robot point of view. That is more sensitive. Then you must really have this layer on top for make it your own.
Yeah. Hey, this podcast is of course about data, and we have deviated a bit from the topic because we got talking about the thing that we're really excited about, which is AI, and of course they do weave into each other. Maybe to loop this back around to how does this automation piece work for data, basically in the same way, I would say. So whenever working on on improving anything in the business, so be it content and copywriting, which are the examples that we use today, that of course also applies to when you're more in the operational layers and the I could call them invisible layers of the business. There of course the same thing applies.
Yeah, like I said, so I think it's really strong if you talk about how to use AI in data and data quality. It's the backend. And this is typically something that either people cannot do or they don't want to do. And that's ideal for, of course, a robot, because the robot doesn't mind, right? They are fine to do that work endlessly. So that's a very good, I think, point of view. But also there, we know this from the project that we are doing, you need to put in a lot of effort to come to a good quality level. And in one of the previous episodes, we talk about how to come to 95% accurate data. And that's not easy. We also learned that. And that's fine, because that's where you make the difference also.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I suggest we move this thing to another episode, but what we can talk about sometime as well is we see that especially leaders in procurement, they're very, very skeptical about, okay, how do we then get the real results? Because everyone is promising the world, but you know, like just some rules aren't gonna cut it because they stay too high level, or they take more time just than having someone do it by hand. Um, and an LLM or just an AI layer is also not going to cut it. Um, but what we really see is there is this amount of, there's lacking trust because everyone's promising it and no one is really delivering on what they're promising. So it's quite interesting to have a chat about, well, so how do you create that trust and how do you really show that things can work and what's the way to get there?
I think that's a good topic for our next episode, indeed. Because I also read a story the other day that if you talk about AI and technology, that it's really hyped a lot. And that
Yeah.
has also you can also see it with the investments that are related to it. So it's enormously hyped, and most of the examples what you also mentioned, they cannot deliver that. So because it's so much hyped, it is talking more than that it really will deliver. So there will be a shakeout at one time. How that really work out doesn't mean that there are good solutions that work very well.
Yeah, there are great solutions out there. There's also, less great would be an understatement, solutions out there.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's dive deeper into this topic for the next episode. And yeah, thank you for your insights today. And I think many people will feel like that. So curious.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Yeah. See you the next time. Thanks so much. Okay. Bye.